Hi everyone, it's me, and I know, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what it means to be body positive while I put away my clothes. So, just recently, I washed a whole bunch of clothes that I needed to wash. Everyone has those days. I'm not going to hear it and tell people lies. What I am going to say is the truth. And looking at my clothes and realizing how I haven't washed some of these things in years. Like, not to say they wore them, not to say washed them, because I definitely have washed them, but I haven't worn them. And so I just put them back in the dirty clothes. I don't know about you, but if something doesn't fit or something, I don't feel right about throwing it away. I just put it in the dirty clothes. Because I'm like, I'm not gonna wear this. What? But I thought about it and I was like, okay, I am a body positive person, and I definitely love to tell people about loving myself and also how they can love themselves better. So I thought while I put away my clothes, I mean, I could show you some pieces or whatever. Nothing that interesting because most of my wardrobe is in fact black. So I thought I would talk about it. Anyways, so I thought that being body positive meant that I should always tell myself, that I'm beautiful and that, no matter what anyone says, I should only think about me and only think about my feelings about myself, which in a way is true. However, this is not true when you're being unhealthy. Body positivity doesn't always mean you have to lose or gain weight or fix this or fix that. Body positivity really just means what makes you happy about your body, what makes you happy about what you look like. Like, these things are more important than saying, oh, well, in order for me to love myself, I have to lose some weight. Like, a lot of people tell me specifically, oh, you would look so much better when if you lose weight. And I have lost weight before, for sure. It was very hard for me when I was younger because I had hypothyroidism. If you look it up, it makes it a little bit harder for people who, actively want to lose weight because your metabolism isn't fast enough. So even if you're eating all the right foods, doing the right amount of exercise and all that kind of stuff, it's just hard. And after I regulated my thyroid, I was able to gain and lose weight, and I took it to an extreme, and I did end up going to be a vegetarian. Um, and I noticed I was losing a lot of weight. I was getting real slim thick on these bitches. I was, but then I realized I wasn't eating. And then I, really had to make the choice of, okay, am I gonna lose all this weight and, supposedly look good, but I don't feel good about the fact that I'm not eating full meals. I didn't know how to eat as a vegetarian. I was eating potatoes and cheese and just whatever I could find that didn't have meat or meat products, and that wasn't the greatest idea. I definitely feel like if you want to go on a diet that has restrictions, you definitely have to look it up and look up exactly what it is that you need to eat in order to stay healthy on that diet. Then I ended up being a pescatarian. So pescatarian means you can be vegetarian but also eat fish and seafood and things like that. That was some type of protein I was having. Unfortunately, when you have seafood, in turn you have a lot of carbs. So you put all the butter all over it, or you would have it like with starches. So that was my thing. I used to have like salmon and potatoes, and like it doesn't sound super unhealthy, but if every time you go out to eat that's all you can have, you know, there comes a point where something's up. I'm enjoying myself, but I'm really not. And again, I still wasn't eating the way I was supposed to, the way you're supposed to when you need to stay healthy. So I eventually had this really depressing stage where I didn't like anything about myself. My mental health was like plummeted heavily. Also, look at this sweater. I don't know whose sweater this is. I think I got it. I think someone donated it, and someone gave it to me. And honestly, it's a look. It's a look, sis. Um, and I realized I just didn't like myself. I was using, fun fact, not really fun when you think about it, but I was using coffee as meal replacements. Oh my god, healthy habits 101. I meant unhealthy habits. You're not supposed to do that for lots of reasons. I'm also lactose intolerant. So having all of that cream and milk and everything in my coffees wasn't doing my body any good, especially because I was not eating properly. When you are depressed, you can do one of two things, and it's not always one or the other, but it's what usually happens. You either don't eat at all, or you stress eat. And for me, the latter was I didn't eat at all. Then it became I need to eat, but I was eating only sugary food. Here's the story. What it means to be body positive. The whole reason why I'm telling you all this is because yes, you love the way you are and you embrace all of your curves and all of the things you do and don't have. But you also have to embrace the fact that in order for you to stay alive, in order for you to be happy and to be able to embrace yourself, you have to sustain yourself. You have to be able to eat the right things. You have to be able to control what you should and shouldn't eat. When you are depressed and when you are in a state of desperation or whatever the case is, it is very hard to make that, like, it might be obvious choice, but like you have to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. So what happened is that I started eating meat again after that really bad depression last year. I said, you know what, I need to really eat. I need to start eating, even though protein, some people can sustain without having meat or protein in their diet whatsoever. But me not eating properly in those certain kind of diets, vegetarian or pescatarian, I realized that if I was going to go back to meat, I needed to do it in moderation. I needed to not overeat meat. I needed to have the correct balance of vegetables, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I definitely understood it. I definitely educated myself. And I always knew it, but when you're in, like I said, when you're in such a bad place mentally, you forget all that, meal prep, all that stuff. So it goes out the window. I was in a better place. I was getting myself together. And I realized that, hey, this is what I need to do in order for me to be happy. So I did it. And I ended up losing a lot of weight. And I felt really great. I did. And especially because it was around winter time, too. And you know how hard it is in winter to lose all that weight? See. But then I gained more weight because my birthday had came around, which is in January. My birthday had came around, and I got a knee injury. Yeah, I sure did. And it was I was taking public transportation one day on my way to school, and I tried to sit down, and long story short, something happened to my knee. I don't really like telling people because then they're going to be like, oh, that was so gross, I was eating, you know what I mean? So something happened to my knee. I definitely had to have a few different braces and crutches and all these kinds of things. When all you can really do is sit there and not really do much, not really go to school, not really work, you eat. You really don't have time or energy or even like the strength to do much else, especially because you don't think about not being able to sit or lay down correctly. You don't think about being able to stand and shower correctly. Those things you don't really think about. Like, even just the way I'm sitting now, I would have never been able to sit like this when I had my knee injury because I would have to have it lifted or readjust my brace every 5 seconds. It was a very hard time. So I ended up eating a lot, and I did end up gaining a lot of weight. But I did, do my physical therapy, get my knee all good, so, I'm strutting. I'm out here in these streets, you know what I mean? We're good. However, it still does bother me, but again, that's part of body positivity, realizing that when things like that happen that you don't really have control over, you try to take care of yourself. And yes, eating is one of them, but even just like mentally just staying strong, staying focused, staying determined. A lot of people think, oh, body positivity is, oh, I love myself and that's it and nobody else can say anything about me. People absolutely love the fact that I am who I am and I look the way I look and I embrace the way I look. There's a difference between saying, okay, I like the way I look, I'm okay with the way I present myself, but I wish I lost a lot of weight. You know what I mean? Like, you can always wish to grow. You can always wish to, have different goals in your life. But if you think that the only way you can be happy is losing weight, you'd be surprised. You really would. For me, losing weight has always been something that I could do. You know, ever since I regulated my thyroid, I can lose weight. Do I choose to focus my entire life on losing weight? Absolutely not. Do I choose to focus on trying to eat as, good as I can on the days I should, and making sure that I am eating vegetables whenever I have, like, a cookie or something, you know what I mean? Like, just making sure that I'm not fully going off the rails again. So, I think that if you really love yourself, you have to love all of yourself. And that's very hard. People take years to love themselves and to say, oh my God, like, I really do love and embrace myself. And no matter what anyone says, I will be strong and I will embrace myself. It takes a lot. And to genuinely mean it and to project it out to other people, that takes a lot. It does. And it takes a lot of practice, not gonna lie, you know? And, for example, I'm gonna show you this shirt. And this isn't even one of the biggest shirts I have, but I am going to show you this shirt. And a lot of people, when they see me in person, they're like, wow, you're super short. And then they look at me, and they're like, well, you're not super fat, but you're not super skinny. What are you? And of course, people say those, like, cute names of, I'm a little fat, I'm a little chunky, I'm a little chubby, Sometimes it makes me laugh because I'm like, oh, that's super cute or whatever. But realistically, I'm just me, So I'm going to hold up this shirt. This is a size, I think it's XL. For the most part, I wear XL or even XXL. And that's mostly because of my front parts up here. I could fit into larges if I wanted to, and extra larges guarantee that I would definitely have enough space. XXL is because personally, I don't like having it be super tight there. I am in school, beauty school, and in an industry where you're going to be bending and lifting and reaching and pulling and, all that good stuff. And it's really not the best to just have everything super tight. You feel super restricted. You feel super cranky if something's super tight. So I personally, when I go out shopping, I say, okay, what am I going to wear? Where am I going to wear this to? Why am I going to wear this? And also, is it smart for me to get this in a smaller size than I normally would? Sometimes I do get really big sizes and not realize I'm not that big. But as a person who did get to a really big, got real big, I've always thought like that. I've always thought I need to have a size way bigger than I am. And then I regret it because I'm like, I can't wear this. When I have those spells of I'm losing weight, I'm gaining weight, I can't wear that because it's like this huge. I'm like this big. Mind you, it's not a super big difference, but like you can see obviously it doesn't fit me. The struggles of a bigger person are definitely similar except in size with a smaller person. They, have to get stuff that's really small. And not a lot of places have super, super small. The one place I can think of that everyone loves for big clothes is Walmart. Because it's true, Walmart does have a good amount of, like, bigger size clothing than, like, normal places would. But, when I look at, like, the sizes they have, they don't have super, super small. Like, you would have to go to, like, the kids section to get, like, certain stuff. So it's like, we all have our battles, we all have our things that we have to, go to certain stores for, order online, and when it comes, you're like, what the hell, this is, like, too small, or this is way too big. Everyone has those, clothing problems. I think what the body problems is, like, am I gonna make fun of people that look like me and project what I feel onto them? So that I feel better about myself? I feel like a lot of people don't ask themselves that, but they do it. They do that. They have, body image things going on with them, so they see someone that looks like them and they make fun of them. And they say all the things that they say to themselves. And that's where the negative body stuff comes from. A lot of people who are thinner, who make fun of big people, I'm going to be very real, and it's not because I want to excuse them, and it's not because I want to feel better about myself. A lot of people do have this thing called fat phobia. It could be a fear of themselves being fat. It could be a fear of just fat people in general. It could be lots of traumatic stuff that had to do with bigger people. Whatever the case is, fat phobia is a real thing. there is a lot of people who just don't know how to handle people that look different from them. And that is extremely environmentally, like, the case. Like, in your environment, if all you ever experience is skinny people, you see a fat person, you're like, holy shit, who are you? What are you? Like, what's going on? Why do you look like that? And I've had it happen, believe me. But it's really about the way you decide to react to that. Are you gonna be like, oh my god, like, you're such a terrible person, how could you say that to me? Realistically, it did hurt, and you do have the right to cry about that kind of stuff, because it's just such a shock. Like, it's such a shock to understand that people don't see people like you, even though it's an everyday normal thing, you know. Um, I think that my biggest downfall during all the diets and all of the excessive eating and all that kind of stuff, I was always in a depressive state. I was always depressed about myself as a person. Maybe it didn't have 100% to do with my weight, but it was always like I just didn't feel good enough, or I didn't feel like great for other reasons, of course, um, besides body image and things like that. But I think when you really love yourself, when you learn to love yourself, I feel like right now I'm in a place where I'm like, I do love myself, I do support myself, I do believe in myself, and all those great things. I don't think I would let myself go back to that unhealthy habit, even if I do get super depressed, even if I do get super sad. I don't believe that my bad eating habits will continue on, you know? Because you learn from your mistakes. You learn, yes, I was super sad, and yes, I am super sad, but that doesn't mean I'm going to deteriorate my body on purpose. Doing it by accident is different. Doing it on purpose is not. So, I think, what does it mean to be body positive? It means to actively try your best to take care of yourself. Actively try your best to listen to what your body needs. Like, not neglecting it for so long and be like, oh, why am I so sick? Like, I definitely did that, and I definitely can make fun of myself for that, because I had an experience recently where, not due to my weight, but that things could have got really bad. And that's what I would definitely say. A PG version is that it was very scary for me. It was very scary for me, the fact that I waited so long to take care of myself. And it could have ended very bad. Body positivity aside, sometimes the smallest things that, of course, you're aware of, and of course you know you need to change, sometimes just accepting yourself so much isn't always the greatest thing too. Because if you're like, oh, this is just who I am, this is a part of me, but it's a very unhealthy part of you, and you need to get help. And I let it go on for such a long time that it could have ended very badly for me had I waited any longer to realize that that was not healthy for me to continue doing, that that was no longer a safe thing to let my body just do, you know? So at that point, I learned a lot. Ever since then, I have learned so much about myself, about other people, the way they see me, the way I would love them to see me. So what can you do to be actively body positive towards yourself? I would love to sit here and tell you all the things you should do to be body positive to other people, but it starts with you, because if you can't see the good in yourself, if you can't see the greatness inside of you, it is very hard for you to try actively and honestly and truthfully to go and look at that person and say, you are great, you are beautiful, you are amazing, give all these compliments, all this, reassurance, when you can't do it to yourself. So, what I say is, look in the mirror, look in the reflection, look in your phone, and tell yourself daily, nightly if you want. I feel like nightly, whenever I the last thing I read, or the last thing that I look at, is usually what I dream about. So I would usually say nightly. Tell yourself this nightly and say, I matter, right? I matter. I am beautiful because my heart is beautiful, because I try my best every single day, because I do things that are good for myself. and I will continue to do things that are good for myself. In turn, I would do good things for other people, and I will try my best to support and care for other people so that they do the same for me. It is a lot. I'm definitely telling you, it's a long mantra. But I try to do my best and project that to people, because I feel like the great things that you push out, the great things that will come in. And I truthfully believe that. As corny as it is, as corny as a lot of people don't believe me, it's true. I want you to try your best to do that, and try your best to say, I love myself, and this is who I want to be, and this is who I am going to be, and, do the steps that it takes to do that. It sounds really funny when I say it because I'm laughing, but I'm just really happy. I'm happy with all the progress that I've been doing. I'm happy with my health right now. I'm happy that I'm able to sit here and talk, and it's been a long year and a half since my brother passed away. And I've learned so much. So much. I've learned that he was right. I've learned that I can't let anyone else stop me from being happy. I have to be happy. I have to make that happen. And so, before I get too emotional and cry and, have a moment, which is good to have moments, by the way. Don't be afraid to have moments, because sometimes you need to have moments so that you can just get it out your system and continue and fight, But I don't have a moment right now. I had a few today. So remember, being body positivity really means just keeping yourself healthy, keeping yourself as your first priority, and making sure that you put out good energy so that you get it back. Remember to live, laugh, and love, and remember that life is the key to a very successful day. And also, don't forget to subscribe and like down below, and comment what do you do on a daily basis that you would consider body positivity, or consider, just like self-love, and, just have a little conversation down there. And I will be back hopefully soon. I definitely just recapped literally everything that's happened since I left. So, I'm glad to be back.